Hey, Money Magnets, I'm your host, Dr. Amanda, and if you're a coach, entrepreneur, or service-based business owner, you're in the right place to learn practical, actionable law of attraction strategies that will help you grow yourself to grow your business. It's critical that you focus on inner power and inner growth in order to be able to get what you want in your life and business. This is truly the magic pill, and if you're not focusing on growing yourself, shifting your energy, transforming your mindset, using these law of attraction principles to improve yourself, you're going to keep getting the same outcomes over and over. So keep listening to the Law of Attraction for Business podcast to help you grow yourself so that you can be a deliberate, conscious creator of your reality. I have a really awesome episode today, and the backstory here is something I want you to think about. Are you repurposing content in ways that will help you create win-wins, joint venture partnerships, help you accelerate your business growth in the easiest ways possible? I came up with a really fun idea, and here it is today in this episode. I was thinking, I get on a lot of other people's shows, and sometimes in podcast world, we do podcast swaps. And I thought, well, what if we could use our time more efficiently where I can be a guest on your show and then I release the episode on my podcast. That way I get exposure, they get exposure, and you all get to benefit from these really valuable conversations that I have with other awesome people who are growth-minded in the world sharing a podcast. And so this is our first episode that we're releasing in this way. So it's a featured guest episode where I'm a guest on somebody else's podcast. We have a really awesome conversation. They allow me to release this episode on the Law of Attraction for Business. And so it exposes you to their show while helping you get access to even more awesome people. So today's show is me on Victoria Gallagher's podcast. Her podcast is called The Power of Your Mind. I've got all of these links in the show notes, so just look at the show notes to find Victoria. She is awesome. She has a Believe app. It's called Believe Hypnosis or the Believe app. Just look for the show notes or type in Believe app on your app search. Her website is victoriamgallagher.com. Her podcast you can find on all the streaming apps. She has a YouTube channel with videos that have 1 million views. She is killer. And she has a book that I read that is incredible. I actually didn't remember this right when her and I got on to record the show. I saw her books in the background. She's authored several books, and this book is called Practical Law of Attraction, and I read it a couple of years ago because I read everything I possibly can on the Law of Attraction, and her book is one of my favorites. And it's interesting, I've read so much that I forgot until I saw them on her shelf, and I thought, oh my God, how cool that she invited me on her show, because she is just a really wise, brilliant Law of Attraction mentor, guide, teacher. She's been studying the Law of Attraction for over 25 years. So she is someone you are definitely going to want to check out, because I know you're here because you like the Law of Attraction and you're interested in learning more. Check her out. So go to the links in the show notes. So what you're going to hear today for the episode is her show with me as a guest. So we're going to roll right into that, and you're going to feel like you're on her show listening to her podcast. After this episode, make sure you go check out her podcast, The Power of Your Mind podcast. We talk about so many great things: how to use the Law of Attraction to change your zone of manifestation, how to delegate using the Law of Attraction to get into your zone of genius, the problem of undercharging and over-delivering, and money mindset breakthroughs, plus how to attract clients more easily. All right, enjoy the show.
Well, hello and welcome to the Power of Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Gallagher, the Law of Attraction hypnotist, and you are tuning in today to episode number 317. As a best-selling author of Practical Law of Attraction, a hypnotherapist with 25 years experience, I specialize in helping business professionals to manifest success using practical strategies, tools like Law of Attraction, hypnosis, affirmations, meditation, all designed to rewire your mindset and drive you toward success. Now, today I have a very special guest with me, and we're like pretty much right in the same line of work here. Amanda Barrientos. Did I pronounce
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Dr. Amanda Barrientos. She is known as a mindset healer. And she is also she is a founder of Law of Attraction for Business, trademark. And she is an international best-selling author and the host of the top 2% globally rated podcast called Law of Attraction for Business. And after going from food stamps, which right now looking at you, it's hard to believe that you were ever in that situation, to building a six-figure business fast, she has been on a quest to teach coaches, consultants, and service-based business owners the law of attraction strategies to turn on their money magnetism and create rapid business growth. And you can find out all about Amanda and everything that she does on her website, LawOfAttractionForBusiness.school. And she can also be found on YouTube at LOA for Biz. That's LOAFORBIZ. That's same on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Keep it nice and simple. I love that. And so today, Amanda is going to be sharing how to use the law of attraction in business to get what you want in your life and in your business. So, welcome to the show, Amanda.
Oh, that was amazing, Victoria. I'm so excited to be here. I have been looking forward to talking to you and sharing, of course, with your audience, because obviously and I attract probably very similar types of people. And it's the most fun, juicy conversation I think we could possibly have.
I think so too. I mean, we're like pretty much almost soul sisters. I mean, we do and teach, pretty much, but I know, every coach and healer, they have their own unique way of helping people with these breakthroughs. And so I am really, really excited to get your take and your method and your strategies and pick your brain to help, not only, other people, but myself included. We all can use a little bit of help. That's one of the reasons why I created this podcast is like, this is a great way to just pick people's brain, use the information for myself, but share with other people at the same time. So let's dive into some of the Q&A. So I barely touched on the fact that you went from food stamps to six-figure business in a pretty short period of time. So tell us a little bit about like how that happened and like what period of time are we talking about and what was what happened in your mind that caused you to be able to break free of that?
Yeah, so many things. It's amazing actually how fast you can change when you start to implement universal principles. And at the time, I didn't know that that's what I was doing. But when I look back and now that I've learned all that I know about law of attraction and universal principles, I go, oh my gosh, I was manifesting. I just didn't know it. And I think that is what happens for most people. And podcasting was a huge part of it for me. So really my journey began one night when I was laying on the floor crying. So I had left my 15-year marriage having an affair. And I was in another relationship and it wasn't working. So he had moved his stuff out of the basement and I was sitting on the basement floor. I'd spent the day on Craigslist. I don't know if everyone knows what Craigslist is these days, but it was, looking for places to live. And I couldn't afford anything for me and my 3 kids and my dog. And I was just sitting there going, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to move out of this house that I had rented with my boyfriend. Didn't have enough money to move, didn't have enough money for a new place. I was feeling really victim-minded and kind of tracking my history almost in a way for who to blame, or who to save me. Can someone save me from this? And it was such an important critical moment because at the same time I had those thoughts, I also thought, well, wait, I'm the person that's been in every part of my history. So I'm the problem. And I realized it in that moment. I thought, I'm the problem. I need to change. And so I made a declaration to myself. I didn't use that languaging at the time. I just said into my mind, like, I am willing to do whatever it takes to have better relationships and make more money. And because I was already on food stamps, I was seeing a free counselor where I was earning my graduate degree. And she said, you've got to go on food stamps to feed your family, and had so much shame around
Oh,
it. And
yeah.
I did it anyway. Thankfully, the system was available for me to access. And so I thought, okay, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And it led me to listening to podcasts because I was already super busy. So I would just listen on double speed while I was washing the dishes and taking my kids to school and doing all the things. And I started to change my thinking. And then while this was happening, at the same time in my university, we had like this national news fallout where professors were leaving the department. And I thought, wow, this looks like a really stressful job. I don't think it's what I want.
Mm.
And I was very far into the program to earn my PhD. And I thought, well, I'm going to finish, but all of these people who are doing the podcasts are coach type people. I think I'm going to become a coach because I loved teaching and I loved working with people, my students. And so I thought, I think I could do it. And so when I graduated, I took the leap into entrepreneurship, started my business, and I went from food stamps to six figures in that first year of business.
Oh, wow.
And it was a roller coaster ride. I always teach the upward spiral growth curve. So it wasn't all up. It was some down and some up. And the downs got me to the next evolution of the up. And so here I am now in my sixth year of business. And it's led me on so many amazing journeys. When I very first started looking at the law of attraction, I was like, seriously, I'm going to go from being a scientific academic to teaching law of attraction? What? And so, it's been such an integral part. And I'd say for me, the thing that I recognized that was so meaningful was how, for me, the universal laws are really the rules to the game of life. And
Hmm.
you can win when you know them. And before that, I always felt like, what am I doing? I'm just out here floundering. I don't know how to get results. I don't know how to get what I want exactly. I knew how to do it through force and push and fear. I didn't know how to do it energetically and how to get aligned and how to really have things happen in big, expansive, easier ways. And so now I love to teach how to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so important too, because, law of attraction, I mean, while, it like you can take it one way or another, because, some people will think, oh, all I need to do is just kind of sit around and wish and hope for things to happen. But it does require like some effort. It's just when you say effort, it's not forceful effort. It's more like inspired.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think I hear people say that a lot. I say that too, and it's like it isn't this woo-woo thing where you sit on the couch and you meditate and hope things into existence. Yes, that meditation is awesome. I teach it every day.
Yeah.
And it's about strategy and it's about intention. And I always say that you will take action automatically when you believe something to be true. So action is evidence of belief. And
Yeah.
when you take action, you know that what you believe in is going to be manifested because the mix of the action mixed with the belief is going to energetically attract it to you magnetically.
Right. Yeah, that's and it also seems just another theme with what you said. You had to really get honest with yourself and really clear about the direction that you were heading in your life. And I think a lot of times, people would, yeah, I mean, how much work did it take to get to that close to getting your PhD, and then boom, you're just going to change everything on a dime.
Yeah, that was a really interesting thing. I think the scariest part was I finished my PhD. I loved the work I was doing for my dissertation research. So I finished it. But that part of like masking my identity, I didn't tell people what I was going to do. In academic world, they all know because you're not applying for jobs. And so they question like, what are you going to do? And I just said, I'm going to build my own business. Telling people I was a coach felt like I had a lot of imposter syndrome around it,
I
and I
bet.
had a lot of fear of judgment. And it took me a couple years to get through that fear of telling my academic world that I was doing something different, and it was interesting. And it does take courage to pivot. Anyone listening or watching, it takes courage to pivot. And I would say it takes pain. For me at that point in time, I was in enough pain to
Yeah.
where the pain caused me to choose the change. And because we're animals and we live by the pleasure pain principle, you either change by really conscious decision
Hmm.
or pain. Those are the ways you change typically.
That's so true. And like you really hit really major point when you talked about that pain and you talked about how all these different scenarios they weren't working out like with your relationships and you had to also get very honest and clear about what is the common denominator, in those relationships.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
yeah.
It's a lot easier to blame other people.
It is. It is.
Yet it's harder in the long run because you keep creating the same patterns over and over again.
Yeah.
So, I think about that victim-minded piece, and it's like I spent so much of my life in that state. And it was interesting because my PhD is in sociology, and in sociology, we study macro systems of oppression,
Yeah.
basically. We don't study how society's happy. We study what's wrong with society to figure out how to fix it. And so, all of the time, here I am, Native American, first gen college student, single mom, on food stamps, and the whole system is telling me that I'm going to be marginalized forever. And so that just stacked on to my belief already that women aren't powerful because I grew up fundamentalist Christian and there was that belief there too. So it just kept stacking that belief system. And, in law of attraction, what you look for, you find to be true. The bias is there. And so I kept telling myself that over and over again. And so it was interesting to start to hang out with coaches and have this contrasting belief with sociology and academia, where here you are oppressed, and in coaching world, you're the most powerful being and you're the creator of your reality. And it was
Right.
like, I would much rather go with I'm the creator of my good reality instead of I'm a victim and it's out of my control. And
Right.
that was so liberating for me.
That is, and it can be really hard to, make that mindset leap. So like for people who maybe are stuck with that's, syndrome of like, creating the same whatever whether it's with their weight, whether it's with, hitting roadblocks in their business, whether it's hitting roadblocks in their relationships, creating these same patterns. I mean, it can be very painful. So what would you tell a person that, like they feel like, well, I kind of know about the law of attraction. I, at some level, know that this is my responsibility, but they're not doing anything to change it.
So interesting because, you know, I've had people ask me before, what do you do with people who come to you when they're not ready to change? I say, I oddly don't attract people who aren't ready to change.
Yeah.
So you hit it right there. You have to be ready to change.
Yeah.
If you're not ready to change, no one can fix that for you. You've got to choose to want something different.
Yeah.
And so it really starts with desire. So let's say I have someone who comes to me and says, they consciously want, let's use weight loss as an example. They consciously want to lose weight, but then their behaviors contradict that. So I call that competing commitments. And your
Hmm.
subconscious is always going to win because it's 95% of you. And so you've actually got to start reprogramming yourself strategically in your belief system, in your energetic state of being, your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings. And it's strategy. Change is strategy because we're habitual beings. And so I teach people my inner power formula, which is really simple. Number one, to recognize, two, reframe, three, repeat to reprogram. And most people give up too soon because they don't see fast results. And we are very impatient. And so you've got to attach a solid enough why. Otherwise, you won't do it. And so for me, when I was in that state of change and I was in a lot of pain and I just kept my eye on the prize and I used, now I call them affirmantras, but I used very specific statements to myself. And I hung out with people who were way ahead of me to keep moving in that direction. And so, I'd say in the example of someone who wanted to lose weight and who was struggling with it for a long time, start hanging out with healthy people. You do need to change who you spend time with because you're getting revalidated and reprogrammed through who you spend time with. And so, get a gym membership, go to the gym, hang out with healthy people, read books on health, get magazines about health, listen to podcasts about health, program yourself with new ways of thinking and being so that you can start to then take action in that direction. And so, it's a choice. It's
Yeah.
a choice to
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, and sometimes it does feel like for some people when they get there and It feels like it's not a choice, but you have to, like you said, you got to tack it on all levels. You've got
Hmm.
to, you're saying essentially to immerse yourself in an environment that supports the change that you want to make.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing people miss a lot. They think, uh, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again, thinking you're going to get a different result. It doesn't make sense. And yet we do it all the time. And
Hmm.
we make excuses and justifications for it. And that's the ultimate victim mindedness. When you blame the outer world, you lose all of your power to change. And so the first critical step is recognizing, hey, look back in your history and think, what power have I had to change something? Who initiated that? It wasn't someone else, it was me. And so when you start looking at repeated patterns in your history, you start seeing where the origin of things lies.
Yeah.
And it's always in you. And
Mm.
it's like the mirror principle, right? Your outer world is showing you exactly your belief system. And so
Yeah.
if you don't like what the mirror is showing you, change what's within.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way to do it. And I like to think for people and share with them, hey, if you want to keep getting what you've always gotten, sure, keep doing what you've always done. That's for sure. If you want to tell the future and you want to read your future, keep doing exactly what you're doing. You'll already know the outcome. If you want something different, at least test it. Just give it 30 days and test a strategy and see if it works and see what starts to happen. If you listen to, your podcast for 30 days and binge listen to it, my podcast for 30 days and binge listen to it, I promise you things will start to change in your reality. There's no possible way that it won't because you're going to start having different beliefs.
Absolutely. And that's the thing right there that you really hit the nail on the head is you have to do it long enough for it to embed itself into the subconscious.
Yeah.
You can't just like do it for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days and say, this doesn't work. I don't feel any better. Well, that's because
Yeah.
you've got years of a, predominant way of thinking, feeling, acting, behaving and all the results to prove it. So that is such a key is that, I've been just kind of referring to it as like having the discipline
Hmm.
to stick it out. So
Yeah.
what do you say to the person who's like, okay, they go 15 days and then, like they're still not quite where they want to be at, and then something gets in their way and they have a really bad upset and they're just kind of like they're back to ground zero again.
Yeah. But I'll give a really easy strategy. And the word you use, discipline, it's so fascinating because when we know consciously, we're like, yes, I choose. If you choose to be disciplined, it feels good.
Yeah.
If you feel like you have to be disciplined, it feels
Mm.
bad.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would say use your inspirational why. So for people who are in a transformational state and they're changing their state of being, it's really easy action step for them to, and I like to have people do this and put it on their desktop. I work with business owners, right? So they're typically at their computers. If you're not at your computer, do it on your phone. If you have a journal, you could do it in your journal too. I like it on my desktop because I can keep returning to it. I do a why list, and
Oh,
I would have this be called a benefits list.
hmm.
So you would write at the top of the list, what's the benefit of blank? And then you write and you get up to 250 and you reread it every single day. So here, we'll just keep going back to the weight loss example. What's the benefit of losing 30 pounds? And then you write benefit to your health, benefit to your partner, benefit to your kids, benefit to your wealth, benefit to your business, benefit to your feeling about yourself, benefit to your money magnetism. And you get to 250, which takes time. You can't do this
Yeah.
all in
Oh,
one sit down. When you reread that every day, all of a sudden your subconscious starts to buy in consciously, and then you get into action. And the reason is because why is your desire is connected to your why, and that's the most powerful creative manifestation force. And so that's what that list does. It's such a simple strategy. If people do that with anything they want to change, it works. I promise you.
I love that. I've never heard of that before. So you come up with 250 whys.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
how many people, because like, so I have a similar thing that I do where I have people come up with 100 ways.
Ooh, okay.
And so it's like 100 ways to manifest something. And they don't even have to, when I have people do this, just to kind of break through on like this, it really is, it's all about the detaching from the how something will happen
I love
because,
that.
and so, but I have people's like, oh, I can only come up with 60, right? So
Yeah,
that's only
yeah,
on 100, and they can be completely made up imaginary ways. They don't even have to be based on anything
yeah,
rational or logical. So how do you get people, to break through that
yeah.
250? Like, do you ever have people say, oh, I only can come up with 10 for me?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. And that is when I know people are subconsciously stuck in a lack of belief or they don't really want the thing they're saying.
Yeah.
And they're scared, right? Fear is going to stop you from seeing it. And this is where I choose to really help them push through it, break through it, and play with, okay, let's come up with 10 a day. 10 a day. And 250 isn't a magical number. It's
Right.
getting yourself to push past the conscious things you already know, because the first 10 to 25 are going to be things that are easy. They pop out real easily. And
Yeah.
then you're going to have to work to dig. And then when you
Yes.
do that digging, that's the subconscious waking up, and that's the subconscious getting connected to the conscious. And now you can break through. And so it's really critical to keep playing with it. So, for people who practice this, don't worry if you can't get to 250, that's okay. The goal is to all of a sudden you will know when you hit the right number because you will get into productive inspired action
Yeah.
automatically. And then you read it every day. And then what will happen is you start doing the action and it starts to feel good. Then you think of more benefits, right? Because now you're starting to experience the benefits, not just kind of imagine the benefits. Now you're like, oh, wow, when I go to the gym, I have 10 times more energy. I'm more confident at work. And then all of a sudden you just start playing with it. And it's like, this is my magic list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is such a beautiful strategy. Thank you for sharing that with us because
absolutely.
I like to get these little nuggets out of my guests, to like give me the goods on, how a person could, just take this podcast and apply it and make actual, dramatic change. And I really believe that you just hit on something that would, be so helpful for our guests. So thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome. It's
yeah,
so fun. I love coming up with strategies like that.
it's a great strategy. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. So what is the zone of manifestation for rapid business growth? That is something,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about that.
That's so fun. So I teach that we go through 4 zones when you're building a business.
Yeah.
So in zone 1, you're in manic imposter zone.
Mhm.
You have all of this excitement, but you really have no idea what you're doing yet. So manic imposter zone. Zone 2 is the over deliver and undercharge. That would be for service-based businesses. Sometimes I call it the overwork and get underpaid zone. So
Yeah.
zone 2, a lot of people stay stuck here, especially heart-centered, I'd say coach type people can get really stuck in zone 2 because they really have the heart to give a lot, but they
Mhm.
don't know how to break through their money blocks and charge what they're worth.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to structure their programs in a way that causes easy money flow. So a lot of people stay stuck there. Zone 3, you start to value yourself more, where you learn, hey, I gotta delegate. I've got to systematize. I've got to like people are more willing to invest here. They're also making more money in zone 3 as well. Zone 4 is where you get to this place where, I think of it, the 3 foundational principles in law of attraction for business are productive action, client attraction, and money magnetism lead to rapid business growth. And when you're in that state, all of a sudden you'll notice I am in inspired action. I'm in my zone of genius doing exactly what I love because I've learned to DAD my system, drop, automate, delegate. And
Yep.
then I
Ooh.
have clients coming my way and the money magnetism is flowing and growing and things feel easy. So
Mhm.
in that zone of manifestation, you're spending your time doing exactly what you love to do. You really know your brand identity because before this, you have a lot of scattered brand identity,
Yeah.
figuring it out, on that spiral growth curve, you're figuring out who you are as a business owner and who you serve the best. And you're figuring out the flow of money and all of those things. So once you get to that zone 4, the zone of manifestation, I really like to think of it, it's where this automatic business growth happens. And you wake up every day just feeling like, yes, I've made it. I've figured this out. And then, something might change contextually, even like COVID could happen or something like that. And then you pivot and you go through all the zones again. And when you're a business owner who's built a business before, you go through the zones a lot faster each time. But as a new business owner, staying stuck in those zones 1 and 2, it helps to get help from people who've been there and done it so that you can move through the zones more quickly and more easily.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense. And not that I called it that specifically, but I remember a time when I realized that I was completely like unavailable for any growth because I was doing everything myself. And
Yeah.
and just to for me to get to that next level, I had to like kind of I had to like make a list of like, okay, here, if in a perfect world, if everything was handled for me, what would I actually, how would I spend my time? And,
Yeah.
and it was really just a couple of things on the list, just create and record content. That's all I
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my zone of genius. That's what I'm good at. That's when like, you see these performers on stage, I mean, Taylor Swift or whatever. I mean, she's singing the same song over and over and over again
Yeah.
for years on end. And she sings it with just as much, if not more, passion as, well, that's her zone of genius.
Yeah.
That she doesn't have to set up the equipment.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to, I mean,
Such a
and
great example for
yeah,
delegation. Yeah. Like, what if
exactly.
Taylor Swift got on stage and set everything up? Like, people would laugh. Like, haha, yeah, right.
You got all these people
Yeah.
supporting her, and I mean, that happened a little bit more maybe magically, but essentially you've got to get to that place where you are just, you're the best at what you are doing and everybody else gets to be the best at what they're doing. And you know, uh just what's the first step that you would recommend for somebody to start to step into their zone of genius?
Yeah, it's such a great question. First, you've
A
got to
zone of
know what your zone
manifestation.
of genius is. Well, yeah, and that's a critical part, the zone of genius. So I teach zone of genius, values, and working genius. So I use 3 different types of assessments to help people figure it out. And in it, the simplest question you asked, what you said was awesome. So it's like, if I had freedom, what would I do with my time? That's how you know when you're in your zone of genius. If you think about billionaires, they do not spend 1 second doing anything they don't want to do because their value on their time is so high.
Hmm.
And so that's how you know. I like to ask this question so people could just ask this to start to detect their zone of genius. What do I love to do so much? It's the only thing I would do for money. Not I would do it for free because I don't want people to reinforce the money block to give their value away for free. What brings me joy when I'm doing it? And one of the questions I love the most is, if I had $1 billion, what would I do with my time? And
Mm.
so that's the question that you just asked. It's like, okay, if I had $1 billion, how would I spend my time? That's how you know what you would do in your zone of genius. And so you identify that first. And then I tell people they need to DAD their system, which is to drop, automate, delegate. So I'm
Hmm.
really big into lists. So in spreadsheets. So the spreadsheet would be that you write down every task that you do, and then you write down how much you enjoy it on a scale. And
Hmm.
then the things that you don't enjoy, you write a date of delegation, automating, or dropping. So the
Ooh.
dropping is things like, we do a lot of crap we don't need to be doing
Yeah.
that we've been told we should do, right?
Hmm.
The first thing that always pops into my mind in the business world is like, oh, you've got to be on every social media platform.
Yeah.
Not true. You can be, but you don't have to be.
Yeah.
You want to look at ROI and look at your ROI on time and energy and money and see, is it getting the results? Are my people even hanging out there? Or was I just told by, the big players that you've got to be everywhere? Perhaps drop it.
Mhm.
Think about things you can drop, things that are not important, things aren't that bringing you value monetarily or in an emotional fulfilling way. And then automate, systematize things, get things automated, and then delegate. You want to think of the things, these are things that I must use to get to my goal, in my case of business growth. And if they are necessary but I don't enjoy them, what's the date I'm going to choose to delegate? And delegate a little before you think you're ready,
Hmm.
because delegation will always make you money. Proper delegation will always make you money.
Yeah. It does. Somehow or another, you find the money. It just pops into your
Yeah.
accounts, because you just find yourself in a more resourceful state,
Yeah.
when you're delegating and you have to pay the people that you're delegating to. Sometimes having just that little bit of extra pressure, you can always do a little bit more. And if you don't step out of that comfort zone, you're probably always going to stay small.
Yeah. Well, and even more importantly, you're always going to be staying doing. Can I swear on here? I didn't ask. I
Sure.
don't swear a lot, but I say learn, drop the shit you hate, learn to delegate.
Yeah, I
You
love
know,
that. That's a
like
great
because
mantra.
you're always going to be staying in the I've got to work hard for my money and I'm not in my zone of genius. And you are the most magnetic to money when you're doing stuff that you enjoy.
Hmm.
So, and then when you delegate effectively, you're going to delegate to someone who's in their zone of genius too. So that magnetism that you create together is exponential. So
Yeah.
when you're building out your team and you go, hey, you love to do this, I love to do this, let's do what we love. And then the money will massively, I would say, like follow. It magnetizes to you, it grows, it expands because you don't feel conflicted and restrained.
Hmm.
Anytime you feel, I think of it as like toxic money energy when
Yeah.
you're doing stuff you don't enjoy and you feel resentful about the way you're earning money, it
Yeah.
sends out a signal to money into the universe like, hey, money is a burden. Money causes stress. Money is a scarcity block, right? And when you send that signal to money, you're going to keep attracting it in that way. So you're going to keep validating that money is hard to make, money feels stressful. And so delegation there are so many reasons to delegate besides just having it be to release the burden from you. It is also attractive to clients and money magnetism and productive action.
Absolutely. Oh, I love
It's
that.
really amazing.
Everything that you're saying is just so spot on. I really, really am glad that we got an opportunity to chat about this. I wanted to say, oh, I wanted to validate what you said, and then I lost my train of thought. What I was going to ask you next. I'm just kind of like flying without my any script or anything.
That's
Just kind
great.
of like
Let
I
let it
just
go where it wants
exactly.
to. Yeah.
So, I've heard some, people say, like when they have hired out people to try to support them, that the work just, doesn't get done up to their level of expectation. And then they, somehow like go back to feeling like, oh, I got to do everything myself again. So how can we use the law of attraction, say, because let's just say that, I mean, is the law of attraction at play when you're doing the hiring process of these people that you're delegating to?
Definitely. I mean, I would say that law of attraction is always at play in everything.
Yes.
And, it's interesting because in my experience and what I've seen over and over again is that it's a fear-based problem
Yeah.
and people are hiring the wrong people out of that fear-based problem and it's usually a scarcity block. So
Mhm.
they don't want to spend the money on the proper delegation, so they hire someone that kind of fits and
Yeah.
then they run into that problem. So you're looking at, I think of delegation differently in different phases of business. If you're a brand new business owner, you delegate to someone who can do it, let's say 80% as good as you do. And that might be a temp person. It might be someone who's building their resume and they're an intern and you're teaching them what to do because right then you don't quite have the cash flow, but you still know you want to delegate. An example, when I started my podcast, I didn't want to do all the production parts of it. I just wanted to do the talking parts of it. And so within the first couple months of building my business, I hired a college student to do that because I was like, if I have to do this myself, I don't enjoy my business.
Yeah.
And so I tempted out. It wasn't expensive and it caused proliferation and growth of the podcast. Now I look at delegation as I want to find someone who does it 50 times better than me because they are going to help me in my area that's not my genius and it's their genius. So you want to think about that as you're going. I think a lot of people, the mistake they make is that they don't want to pay the money for the
Yeah.
delegation and then they question, well, why am I not getting a good person? It's because you're hiring someone who's not a good fit and because you're being cheap, basically.
Yeah. And you know what? It all I have found in my experience, whenever I do that, you end up paying twice, three times, four
Yeah.
times as much, especially when it comes to development,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
fix mistakes that were made. And so you have to
Definitely.
just you really just have to trust that, if you're at that point where you are needing to delegate, that you got to trust that, you're going to delegate to the right person, and you got to pay the money, you got to
Yeah.
pay the,
Yeah.
um,
Well, and what you're talking about is a mindset shift. It's a belief shift. It's a
mhm,
belief from scarcity and investing in your business to abundance and
yeah,
going, hey, I'm not afraid to delegate because I know it will make me money and I know it'll get me into my zone of genius, which creates the zone of manifestation vortex, and then
yeah,
it's like, this is fun and flowing. Everybody wins. You're creating a win-win-win there because you're getting to be in your zone of genius. The person you hire out to is going in their zone of genius, and the people who you serve are in theirs. It get to be now winning
yeah,
more because you have a more expansive reach. So it's like it's interesting how blocked we get around that. And I get it. It is scary at first when you hire higher level people who charge a lot more,
yeah,
and sometimes you do make mistakes where you learn. I don't know that I
yep,
believe in mistakes, because I always know you learn, but you sometimes might hire someone where you put a lot of money into it and you go, oh, that wasn't the right fit. And that's okay because that's still you learning and on the way in the manifestation journey, sending the signal to the universe, I'm ready to work less and make more, and I'm looking for the right person. So you're
yeah,
sending the signal by taking those actions. So sometimes, that learning curve can be costly until you figure it out. You're learning, you're growing. You don't know exactly what you're doing. It's
yeah,
it's the
absolutely.
zones you go through.
And, getting back to those zones, I don't remember if it was, I think zone 3, where you realize you're undercharging, and undervaluing yourself, and then you
Yeah.
decide you're gonna, charge more. So what are
Yeah.
some signs that a person, would have, that lets them know that, like, well, I should, I deserve to make more money. Like that, having that breakthrough,
Yeah.
people, some people, like you mentioned in the heart-centered business, they feel like, well, if I enjoy what I'm doing and I'm helping people, why do I need to make more money? So why, why does a person why is it necessary for that person to get to that point in their
Ooh, you
mindset?
just asked so many good, juicy questions that I'm like, oh, I want to answer. There's a lot there because it's different to say I'm resentful and I feel like I deserve more money versus I don't think I need more money. Those are two different belief systems.
Okay.
So, let's say the person I would say the sign is resentment.
Yeah.
Like I'm frustrated that I feel like I should make more. I feel like I deserve more. That's resentment.
Okay.
And that's when you definitely know you need to up level your prices because you're out of equivalent exchange. You're giving more value than you're receiving in value. And whenever we're out of equivalent exchange in anything, let's say money here, right? Then you're always going to cause resistance. And in resistance is the number one thing that causes you to not manifest what you want. And so if you're experiencing resentment toward your clients or the people that you charge, you know you need to up level your prices.
Hmm.
That's one thing. And then on that flip side, I like to dig in with people when they say, like, well, why do I don't need more money. Some people that's true. And you got to know yourself well enough to know if that is authentic and you're saying that from a place of like, I feel great with what I have. I don't need more. Typically, it's a money block belief of,
Yeah.
if I make more money, money is somehow bad and wrong. It's wrong for me to have too much. Typically, that's the money block belief there. So I teach 3 money blocks. Money is bad, money is scarce, and money causes stress. And in the
Mm,
money is bad, people will say that, especially service-based, heart-centered, spiritual type entrepreneurs will often say, like, I don't care about making money. I just care about helping people,
yeah. Yeah.
or I don't need more money. And I say you're in a relationship with money. If you tell money you don't care about it, it's not going to come to you. If you tell money that you don't need it, it's not going to come to you. So you want to fall in love with money, expand your prosperity, expand your impact, expand your influence, because I see it as if you are a person who can come into the world and bring value, it is your calling. I want to say responsibility, but that
Yeah. I
sounds
knew you were
heavy.
dancing around that
Yeah,
word.
it
Yeah.
can sound heavy to people, but
Hmm.
like there is a reason that you are the channel of bringing that value.
Mhm.
And how you create win-wins in the world is up to you. So if you truly are a person who's like, I'm totally awesome, my money's flowing in, and I'm just doing exactly what I love to do, all of it's taken care of, keep going on. You're on the right track. If
Yeah.
you're at a 10 fully in every area of your life and business and finances and spirituality, like, hey, rock it out, keep going, go teach
Yeah.
that. And by the nature of teaching that level of alignment, you will attract wealth because it's impossible not to, because that's a wealth consciousness vibe.
That's such a perfect answer. I love it. Everything that you're talking about, I could just keep going on, and we're already
Are we? Oh, I know.
we're
I love.
already
I could
getting.
chat with you all day long.
I know, definitely. Well, let me just sum up with this last question, and then we'll get into like just how people can work with you. You've got some goodies, that people can, go to your website and get. So let's just kind of close with what kind of mindset would you need to adopt? Like what is that money mindset that you need to adopt in order to use the law of attraction for business growth? And I'm going to dovetail that with how can you increase, because most people are kind of coaches and they need clients. Everyone here needs clients. So how can you create the mindset and to create more clients?
Great questions. Okay. So first, I would say in terms of thinking about manifestation, so three-step formula, I know you have yours, I'm sure as well. So, decide with certainty and clarity what you want, take
Yeah.
steps in the direction, let the universe show you the way and bring you the opportunities. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It sounds simple though, because when you say, what's the money mindset to adopt, people battle within themselves about what they want financially. So,
Mhm.
because of those money blocks, they already start going, well, is it bad to be too rich? Am I going to be a greedy jerk? What if people think I'm a bossy bitch? What if, what if? And so we go down all those roads. So, first, you've got to decide what you want. And I'd say, get reprogramming help through you, through hypnosis, through me, through different versions of, I use a lot of journaling and meditation and do EFT tapping and things like that. And it's like,
Mhm.
you've got to Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
Ooh,
So if you don't make the unconscious conscious, you're going to keep playing out what you believe to be true. And so in that money mindset piece, the first would be decision. I choose to be wealthy. I choose in this lifetime to be wildly wealthy. I choose every area of my life to thrive: finances, my physical health, my relationships, my well-being, my mental, my spiritual, my business. Like, I want to thrive. I choose to thrive. That's the first decision. If
mhm.
you really truly want that, you will start taking steps in the direction. You'll find the right teachers, the right coaches, the right books, the right podcasts, because they will be presented to you because your belief is so strong that the universe knows exactly the signal you're sending out and bring you opportunities. And then it's fulfilled, right? And it takes time. It's not, when I made that decision on the floor that night crying and I said, I want better relationships and to make more money, they didn't just drop in my lap overnight.
Yeah.
It took conscious, strategic steps every single day. Small ones, though.
Yeah.
I love Rumi's quote. He says, as you take a step on the way appears.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to know all the steps. Just take the next first simplest step. So in money mindset, if you want to up level your money mindset, start listening to, listen to my podcast. I talk a ton about money magnetism. I have a book with free chapters, 100 journaling questions.
Mm.
Read every possible book you can on money mindset. Play with your money mindset. I like to think of it as going to the gym. You wouldn't go to the gym and just be like, hey, I'm going to do 600 bicep curls in one day, and then I'm not going to go again for the year.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't work, right?
Right.
It's a
Exactly.
daily practice. So
Consistency.
same thing with setting your state of being for aligned success in the law of attraction. And this applies exactly to client attraction as well. Client attraction is going to be about your state of being. If you have sales fears, your programs you're not charging what you're worth in your programs, you don't know how to structure them, who are you going to get help from? We don't need to do this all alone. That's why coaches are here for us. That's why books are here for you, and podcasts and YouTube University. Like, I mean, there is no lack of information on any of the topics that people are wanting to transform. It's the belief system that's the problem. So, of course, I'm biased. I'm a law of attraction for business coach. So, I always tell people like learn from someone who's going to help you with that part first, because otherwise you're going to be spinning your wheels and working really hard and not getting where you want to go quickly because you haven't reprogrammed your state of being.
Yeah, beautifully said. That's perfect. And you offer, coincidentally, a free 7-day trial of your Law of Attraction for Business school. So can you tell us about that and anything else that you have going on for our listeners?
Yeah. The law of attraction for business school. It's like my dream manifested.
I love it. I
It's
when I
so
heard
fun.
that, I'm like, ooh, I wish I would have come up with that. I love it.
It's so fun. Thank you. Thank you for that validation. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's because of the way that we need to be reprogrammed through repetition. I created a law of attraction for business school. So you get daily lessons. So it's like it's podcast version. So people do it from the comfort of their home. It's super easy to access. So Monday through Friday, they get lessons across business topics. So we talk about inner power, win-win relationships, money mindset, business growth, and vision and goals. And so they get a lesson every day that includes an inspirational, like a really short mini lessons. These are 10-minute lessons. So
Mhm.
inspirational lesson with a journaling prompt, an affirm mantra, and a meditation. And so, it's meant to be done in about 15 to 20 minutes total and Monday through Friday.
Okay.
And then I have a Monday live workshop where I teach business growth topics. All of these are going to, of course, always include law of attraction principles because that's the foundation of how I teach. I mean, it is like insane value and the coolest thing is you can come in with the 7-day trial and check it out. You could come in, test it all out. There are 90 lessons available to you right when you come in, and then the course vault has all of the previous courses that I've run. So I mean, you could like learn so much just in those 7 days, and then of course you'll want to stay, and then it's super low cost for people because I know people are at all different stages of business, and this core piece, if you don't reprogram yourself, you can't be successful. And so I wanted to make sure that people could get that core piece for a low cost.
Oh, that is beautiful. Beautiful. Well, so yeah, so that includes the live weekly Monday coaching sessions, and they get all that for like kind of a low cost. And then you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
also your book. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about your book with the 100 journaling questions and to help you break through your unconscious money blocks. I mean, who doesn't need that?
Right. Yes. That book's so fun too. That IamAMoneyMagnetBook.com. So if they just go to IamAMoneyMagnetBook.com, they can test out free chapters. So it teaches quite a lot in there and then gives a few of the affirm mantras, explains my concept around why most people use affirmations incorrectly and how to use them the right way.
Mhm.
And then it gives them there are over 100 journaling prompts, and it's set up to be a 30-day roadmap. So they do one a day and for 30 days. So it's again enforcing that repeat to reprogram process where if you're spending time every day thinking about money and transforming your money beliefs and you keep repeating that for 30 days, at the end of 30 days, I've had the coolest, I mean, I taught it with this group of realtors. A lot of people really love it for book clubs because they can talk to each other about it. And so I did it with this group of 30 realtors, and it was so cool. They came back, they're like, oh, I closed my biggest deal ever. And I mean, they just kept saying, I was like, wow. And they were singing its praises. So lots of really great stuff in there. And, I'm sure like you, Victoria, it's like, it's not me necessarily. It's like I always feel like I'm a channel of information. I'm open to the resources. I'm sharing what I've learned. I'm sharing what I've taught and practiced with people that works.
Yeah.
And it's universal principles, and
Yeah.
universal principles are timeless. And I'm just framing it in the way that it makes sense to me and helping people, access the information practically.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm so glad that you do that because you have a very well-rounded process, very structured approach, and everything that you said makes perfect sense. I would just invite our listeners, to go and get themselves a copy of your book. I am a moneymagnetbook.com and, go check out the 7-day trial for the LOA for business. I love that. Law of Attraction for Business dot school. correct?
Yeah.
.school. Remember, it's not .com, it's
Yeah.
.school. So thank you so much. You've just been a wealth of information and strategies and just obviously, a giver and a channeler and, channeling this information to everybody that needs this. And so I just really want to thank you so much and appreciate the time that you shared to share all this wonderful information with our guests.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was really, really joyful to be with you. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap on the episode with Victoria Gallagher on her show, The Power of Your Mind podcast. I'm sure you got a ton out of it. Make sure you reach out to her again. You can find her and all of her links in the show notes. Her website is victoriamgallagher.com, The Power of Your Mind podcast. She has a YouTube channel. Be sure to order her book, Practical Law of Attraction, and check out her Believe app. Thanks for being a loyal listener here. I hope that you have an incredible week until our next episode. Be sure to plug into the LawOfAttractionForBusiness.school, where you can get all of my Law of Attraction lessons and get live weekly group coaching. Until next time, I'm sending you giant hugs and money magnet high fives.